G'day, Jeff Lewis here from Seriously Series, and once more I'm here with my good friend Brad from KLR Automotive. Now, I did on our channel, Brad, a little while ago a video on the 4BD1, but you know a lot about the 4BD1, and I thought today, could you run us through what to look for if you've just bought a Land Rover Perenti? What are some of the things you might want to be mindful of owning a motor like this? And we'll finish off with a few party tricks of the motor too at the end.
Yeah, right. Well, first of all, this is obviously not a complete engine. This is one we've started stripping. It had a few problems that we'll cover in due course. But the 4BD1 is probably one of the best engines that anyone's ever built. It is an industrial commercial grade motor, so it wasn't designed really to go into motor vehicles. It was more commonly found in excavators, generators, tractors, basically any sort of industrial equipment at all. And it's quite a clever design. Like, this is a 4BD1, but they did a 6BD1 as well, which was a near identical engine. It just had another 2 cylinders on the back that were exactly the same dimensions. So when you order rebuild kits, you just need to tell them there's 4 cylinders or there's 6 cylinders. So very, very clever design, you know, cheaper to make, but it also means this was originally a 6-cylinder engine. It's been shortened down and running in a 4-cylinder roll, so it's over-engineered for the job that it's doing. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's proven to be such a simple, strong, reliable engine, because they truly are a great motor.
And that would explain why, you know, so many people out there, you know, are getting these phenomenal mileage out of these motors, because, as you say, it's an industrial engine. It's designed to be in trucks which are going to do, you know, millions of kilometres or more in their lifetime. So with that, the motor being what many of us think of being indestructible, are there some flaws? Are there some things that we need to sort of look for?
Well, before we get into flaws, probably a better place to start is you've just bought a Perenti or an old County, and you've got this engine with an unknown history, or you might have the logbooks. You really just need to go over the basics first. And it's simple stuff like check your water pump for play, you know, undo your fan belt, probably replace your fan belt while you're there. This is all just basic maintenance 101. Like they are a good engine, but they still need to be looked after. We recommend replacing all the coolant hoses, and you can see where we've cut these out, you know, to get the engine out, because we won't be reusing those. Change your fuel filter, flush your fuel system out, do the engine oil and filter, the upside down oil filter over here, but you guys probably can't see it. It will spill oil when you change it, but that's the way it is.
Well, that keeps the dust down in the workshop, doesn't it too?
It keeps the rust off the chassis as well. So, but the other thing that we do recommend people do, but is largely forgotten with these engines, I can't show you an exact example because I've already got the head off this and it's now being machined, but tappets are one of the things that are often overlooked in these engines, because really they don't need to be adjusted that often. But we have found enough coming out of the auctions where they haven't been set correctly, so we just run over them, reset them to where they should be, and then really after that, once every 100,000 kilometres is enough to reset them.
Wow.
So do you understand what I mean by valve clearances, Jeff?
Yeah, I've had to do that a few times.
So you got your little feeler gauge under here? So it's actually quite important to do that, because there's every chance yours are okay, but there's also a chance that they're not.
Because I've seen them before in the past, Brad, with other motors. Sorry, Brad, we'll just bring that back. Where, as Brad was saying, if the gap is obviously too great or too tight, it'll actually add to fatigue here.
Correct.
And they can actually snap completely off, and then you're not really going anywhere too fast or too quickly, are you, Brad?
Particularly if they're riding tight, it means that the engine's, or the cylinder's not sealing, so you're not getting a full bang out of that cylinder, so you'll often get a little bit of a miss out of that, a little bit of a flutter at idle. Sometimes, particularly if you've got a snorkel fitted, you can hear just a different noise through the induction. That's awesome. You might need to be a bit of a Perenti guru to pick that up. You know what, they sound like normal, correct? But you get a little bit good at that over time.
So apart from the tappets, which we've touched on, what else would you be looking at? Is that pretty much it?
No, that's not. Again, a very, very common failure point. You can't see it from that side, but you've got the diesel lift pump down here somewhere.
Here.
Yeah, the original ones that you had to unscrew and then pump away, we get most of those failing, and you don't know they're failed until you go to use it. So we just recommend now, once you get one of these, if you've got the early style, take it off, throw it away, fit the $30 Bosch one, it'll be there forever. Easy to use and they work.
Because that's the O-ring actually inside them that gets hard and brittle. And
I think so, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is you don't know that it's not working until you need it to work.
No,
So-
and we've covered a video on that before. If that happens and you've run out of fuel out in the bush, and close your ears here, Brad, it might be a bit hard to listen to, but cracking off cylinder 4 injector, and then obviously using the starter motor, that'll actually pump hopefully pump the diesel through the actual injector lines, bleed the system, crank that back on once you're getting diesel coming out of that injector, and then should start up and off you go again.
To be honest, it's a subject in its own right, but you're on the right track, and they are an easy engine to bleed.
They
There's
are.
multiple ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Off camera, I'll tell you an even down and dirtier way of doing it.
We don't want to scare you away just yet. So I guess we should finish off party tricks. What's the party trick with this motor, Brad?
Right.
It's pretty
So-
easy to rebuild, is that right?
Yeah, look, they are a good, strong, simple engine. Like, they are a long-lasting motor. 1 million kilometres is certainly not unheard of, and we've got more than one vehicle where we're doing 1.2 million kilometre services on them. But they do fail every now and then, and that's why this one is out. It's actually come out of the military with an issue. We pulled it out of the vehicle because we weren't sure what was wrong with it, but it turned out it's been hydraulic with water, like a gut full of water.
Ah, yep.
And conrod number 1 and 2 are both bent, so that's our problem. The next thing we'll do is rip the crankshaft out, and it'll go away to get crack tested to make sure that's okay, but they usually survive this. But the big feature of these engines is the liners. And I think you can just see the top of it there.
I can.
The piston doesn't actually run in the block. There's a pressed liner in there.
Is this one that you prepared earlier,
This
Brad?
is one I prepared earlier.
So can you just run us through what is a liner? How does it actually get in and out of the block?
So that is largely a press fit inside the block. What we do is we actually just freeze these to fit them. So they go in the freezer a couple of days beforehand and they just fall in there. We've got to pull the old ones out. But pretty much what the liner is this is what the piston runs up and down in. So you can just see that's a hollow tube really. That's actually a chrome finish on there, which is what contributes to their long life. And the piston, and another one I prepared earlier, that just runs up and down inside there and does that for millions upon millions of cycles. But what this does mean is for a lot of these engines, as they start to wear and you get wear in the rings or even a little bit of wear in here, and you can see a bit happening here from high mileage, you can do what we call an in situ or in-frame rebuild. You don't actually need to pull the engine out of the vehicle to rebuild it.
That's amazing.
Sump comes off, head comes off, pistons, conrods out, we pull the liners out, new ones go in. The only proviso, of course, is a crankshaft. It has to be serviceable, so that gets measured in situ. If there's any dramas, then we have to pull the engine out, but most of the time they're okay.
So with the crankshaft, you'd get that ground or you would get that lapped and actually
You can. There's a line there where you have to discard it and put a new one in, but in some cases we can regrind them and undersized bearings are available. So it is an option, but as I say, we don't see it terribly often at all.
No. Not when you're getting 1 million,
Nobody makes a business out of rebuilding 4BD1s.
No.
It doesn't happen enough. But basically, sump back on, head back on. We always get the head service. They are a little bit prone to wearing the exhaust valve guides, so we always replace those. Probably more of a precaution than anything else, and then you put it all back together again.
And so with the cylinder heads, is that something that's available on KLR's website?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Well, not heads as such, but certainly the valves, the guides, the valve stem seals, all those serviceable items. We go to a lot of trouble to source those.
Yeah. And look, if you've got any further questions and want some more parts from Brad and the team here at KLR Automotive, be sure to check out KLR by chucking it into Dr. Google. That's KLR Automotive. And you've got all the 4BD1 parts that you require and a lot more, no doubt, Brad.
We do.
Well, thanks for your time, Brad. We're going to leave you here, but we've got more Land Rovers to look at and fix, don't we, Brad?
Yep.